Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Success Harbor Podcast with George Mazzaros, where it's all about making success happen for you.
Hi, everyone. This is George Mazzaros with Success Harbor, and I have Richard Marriott with me. Richard is the man behind Clamber, a blog that shows how to get your site discovered and increase its popularity. Welcome.
Thank you, George, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Richard. Let's start out by talking about how you started your online career on eBay. Can you tell us when you started and what you sold initially?
Yeah, no problem. Well, basically, I was doing a Chinese degree, and I'd spent 1 year in China, and I wanted to go back for another year as a kind of extra year abroad. And to save up money to pay for that, I needed to make some money pretty fast. So after working as a waiter for a while, I was counting my bank balance up, and I realized, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to save enough money to fund the whole thing. So I jumped onto eBay and then started researching a little and found out that there were all these people selling clothes from China, like, Ralph Lauren, Abercrombie and all that stuff. I didn't know if it was real or not at the time. So then I thought, I'll just set up an eBay shop and see how it goes. So I bought a load of wholesale clothes from a supplier and then whacked up a load of adverts and then started selling them one by one. And this
was while you were in China or while you were in the UK?
This was first in the UK to pay for my plane ticket and everything. And the money started coming in. I got enough money to fund a year abroad in China and pay for the college. And that was done in literally about 3 months from eBay. And then I flew over to China. And when I got to China, I kind of scaled up the business. So then I decided to try and become the wholesale supplier rather than selling T-shirts individually. So I found the source myself. And then in the early stages, I used to drive my motorbike from one side of Beijing to the other to pick up all the orders I'd had on eBay. And I'd had this massive rucksack, and I put like about 40 or 50 cashmere jumpers or T-shirts stuffed into the rucksack. And then I'd drive 1 hour across the other side of Beijing to this cheap courier post office and package them all up and then send them to the UK or whatever. So it actually grew to become a bit kind of, how would you call it? It grew so much, I had to actually employ someone to help me with it in the end. And we were literally shipping off about 10 boxes a day of these wholesale clothes and making a hell of a lot of money from it.
So when you mean wholesale, you mean you sold to businesses instead of consumers?
Basically, we sold to eBay sellers. So, for example, if one guy wants to sell a load of Ralph Lauren T-shirts or whatever, he needs to find a wholesale supplier. So I'd sell to those guys on eBay who needed the wholesale bulk, and then they'd sell those individually. So it was all on eBay, everything on eBay. Okay.
And was shipping not too expensive to ship all that stuff from China to Europe?
Oh, it was very, very cheap back then because the exchange rate was really, really in our favor back then.
Okay.
So it was amazing. It was like about $100 to send a box of, I think, maybe 20 T-shirts. It was ridiculous. It was so cheap.
Okay.
And yeah, so.
And what year was that approximately?
That was in 2008.
2008. Okay, so now there was an issue. I read on your blog that the business ended as a result of the exchange rate and the poor quality of products your fulfillment person sent. Can you share how that happened?
Yeah, that was pretty terrible, actually. As soon as I got back to the UK, I left the China end with my business partner, who was supposed to keep finding the same quality clothes and sending them back and everything. But he started sending absolute crap in the post to these people who bought them. And one by one, we got huge complaints on eBay. I got some really bad feedback and a few threats as well. And then actually...
Not life-threatening, I hope.
No, luckily not. But a few kind of threats like blackmail, like for example.
Wow.
So I had to pull the plug on it, on the entire thing, and then just scratch my brains to work out another way to make money. because, you want to have a good lifestyle at university. So yeah, making money on the side was always something I used to do.
And then you started selling mascots on eBay, right?
Yeah, that was a bit random. You see, I got into mascots because I was really freaked out by the whole eBay thing, because actually customs came knocking at my door at one point, and they wanted to ask me the origin of my clothes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a bit freaked out. So I thought, okay, I've got to find something that's totally legitimate and I'm not going to get screwed over for. So I randomly...
So did they think they were like knockoffs or counterfeit stuff? I mean, or was it...
They might have been, but I'm still not 100% sure. I knew they were made in the same factory. They're apparently what you call... I think it's second... I'm not sure what they're called. No, they're not knockoffs, but they're made in the same factory, but they make them when the lights are turned off secretly.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was in China, just before the Olympics, we bought stuff that was not me, but some people bought some things that were actually, like you said, made in the same factory.
Yeah.
It's the same logo. I think this was like North Face or something. I mean, really expensive stuff. And, when the bus would stop, these people would come up to the bus. And I swear, and they said themselves, I don't know if it's true, but they say, all this stuff is made in the same factory that the stuff that you buy in the U.S. I don't know if it's true, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true either, but at the time I liked to think it was true. And I believed it was true.
Okay.
And, yeah, that's all I needed. So then, I got in.
So then the mascots, and why mascots?
Well, I kind of like animals, and I found them pretty amusing. And also, there were a lot of people selling them on eBay, but they had really crappy adverts. And I don't think people could trust a lot of the sellers on eBay. And it just looked like an easy business. And the markup was pretty good on each costume. So yeah, just got into mascots. It was a bit random, the whole choice, but it made a few bob each month to be able to give me a good life at uni, play poker and whatnot. Okay.
And then I guess this was after you graduated from university, you went into the steel business, and you wrote that it was kind of a dog-eat world, decided to change the way you sell steel by moving it online. How long did it take you to see that, the way these guys are doing selling steel is not the best?
Yeah, well, it didn't take me long, actually. After about 3 months working in the company, I was just sitting around each day looking at what we were doing to get sales, and it just was all really inefficient to me. So basically what the sales team would do would every day, they'd go on the internet, try and find some steel suppliers around the world, and then they'd write a standard template email, which was absolute crap most of the time. And they'd just send like 100 emails a day to try and find customers. And that rarely caught any fish. Unfortunately, the sales team I was working with, their level of English was very poor, so they couldn't make sales calls either. So they literally relied on email for everything. And it just dawned on me, wait a minute, why can't we just get the customers to find us instead of wasting all this time trying to find them? And then we can focus more on selling the steel. So eventually...
And what year was this?
Oh, this was... I think it was 2012.
So in 2012, there was really no online way of buying steel?
Well, there was, but the thing is, there were no websites competing. So people could rank online for these steel keywords, but the thing is, their websites were absolutely appalling. They'd be doing some very, very bad SEO. And yeah, there were people doing it, but we worked out a way we could outrank everyone pretty fast and then convert all those visitors into leads. It's amazing, the steel niche. If you look into that niche, that industry, all the websites out there are incredibly tired and outdated. So we just thought, let's quickly make something new and then get inquiries every day.
That's so interesting because you're talking about these billion-dollar industries, and everybody's thinking about, weight loss and personal finance when it comes to websites. and a lot of people ignore these huge opportunities. And I would imagine this is one of the many.
Oh my gosh, honestly, if I had time and if I had a team of people right now, I'd make a big kind of steel portal website because there's nothing out there.
Wow.
And then I'd drive a load of links to it, bump up some press, and then just you'd be able to sell it on for so much. It's like all the Chinese suppliers at the moment, they're still using very outdated techniques. For example, you know Alibaba?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're all going on there onto Alibaba. They're paying Alibaba thousands and thousands a year to get premium listings, which basically puts their keywords at the top. But all they need to do is make a really high quality website with good content, and they can outrank everyone. But they're not doing that. They're still using the old methods. So that's just one little niche that's ready to be absolutely slaughtered. But I know there are hundreds more out there just like that.
Incredible.
So it's just amazing, isn't it?
Incredible. Now, so with the success of your steel, and there were a few other sites that you've worked with approximately the same time, you wrote that you became kind of an SEO addict.
Yes, yeah.
So I mean, so SEO was new to you at that point as well, or what happened at that point?
It was very new. I always knew about SEO, and I got one of my friends to help me on the SEO for my little mascot website I ran a while ago. So I knew about it. And then what I did first, actually, when I made these websites for this Chinese company, I made the website, wrote the content, and got all the conversion things sorted out on the website, like big buttons and the funnel for getting leads. But then I actually had to employ an SEO. But luckily, I'd read enough about SEO that when it came to interviewing guys for the job, I found one that was actually pretty good, and he did a really good job. But before then, yeah, I'd read about SEO, I knew about it, and but I'd never actually done it myself. Only on-site SEO, which was what I did for the websites. Mm-hmm. And then when we employed this guy, he did the link building.
Okay, so let's talk about SEO today. This is 2014. And, obviously it changes all the time, and there are all kinds of Google updates, from Panda to this and that.
Yeah.
Basically, and, it's a major challenge for a lot of people because people have limited time, and sometimes because there are so many things to do, you don't know what the heck to put your time into. So, if you take a brand new blog, like you take mine, Success Harbor or any other blog, I have been online for a few months. What should I focus my time on? I mean, because obviously there's an infinite different number of things you can do, right?
Yeah.
So if you only have time, like say maybe an hour a day or a few hours a week, what should we focus on?
Okay, well, I'll say, okay, for your site, for Success Harbor, one of the things you could do dramatically immediately to get better SEO would be to transcript all of your audio videos into words. I mean, so for example, get all the content written out. That'd be a good thing, because then you'll be able to rank a lot higher for the experts you interview.
Yeah, and I started that. It's just very time consuming. That's great advice.
I know, that's a thing.
Talking about thousands of pages of content right off the bat, with all the interviews. So transcripting is good. So you suggest it for everyone. If they have video on their site or audio, transcribe it as soon as possible. Make it crawlable.
Exactly, make it crawlable. Because
what else?
It's amazing because we've found recently that time spent on page is now the biggest. I think it's one of the biggest factors. And in the new niche site we made, for example, we have 5 big power pages, and these power pages have. Some of them have 8,000 words. Some of them have 18,000 words, which is unbelievable, right? And we found that we were able to rank those simply by first getting a lot of traffic to those posts, and then just people were spending ages on the page. And then Google sees these signals, and then after that, after only building just a few links, those pages skyrocketed up Google because Google knows their high quality pieces of content. So yeah, the main focus these days should be to make your page the ultimate best resource online possible with as many words as you can, and also to make sure it's very nicely split up so it goes step by step through the post.
Okay. So transcribing would be one thing. What else can bloggers do?
Transcribing, videos as well, of course, to keep time on site. It's all about sticky content, I think, at the moment, because as you know, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. They just jump off a page in a few seconds or whatever if they're not grabbed. So what we focus on now is trying to grab the user in. So if you're going to give them, some secret advice, you've just got to keep on reading because later I'm going to reveal this or blah, blah, blah. And just keep them glued to the page. And it's a huge ranking factor. Okay.
What other things can bloggers do to, or anyone with a website for that matter? Transcript, sticky content. What else do you have?
Well, at the moment, I also do a lot of link building, which is the bulk of my work, I really think. A lot of people these days, obviously some people like to focus on social media, for example, and they're experts at social media, but I have to be a bit honest. I am a little bit of a kind of sociopath, so it's a bit of a bad thing for running a blog. But I can't deal with all the noise and the constant, going on and trying to post every hour, whatnot, and retweeting and all this. So the way I get around this is I focus pretty much 90% of my time on emailing people, because I find that emailing people, you can solve everything. For example, if you want to get your post tweeted loads or loads of Facebook likes, you just email all those influencers who have big social followings and, share the post with them, maybe link out to them from your post, and then get them to do that work for you. So then you don't have to worry about spending all day on Facebook or Twitter or trying to schedule your tweets out. Instead, you send very, very targeted emails to the influencers can cause a lot of, shares for your post. Email them and get them to do it for you. So I find this works with everything. Also for, example, for using Reddit. A lot of the time in the niche I'm working in, another niche, is I'll find out who in that niche shares a lot of stuff on Reddit and who's got a lot of, karma and everything. And then when I've got an important post, I'll get them to post the Reddit link for me. And then I'll email.
Do you pay for it, or how does that work?
It's quite easy. You just kind of maybe give them a link from your post, and then you hit them up and say, hey man, I linked to you for my post. Oh, by the way, I noticed you're really active on Reddit. I don't actually have a Reddit account myself or whatever. I'd love it if you'd help share the link for me. Then they share that link because people on Reddit don't like it if you share your own stuff, right? And then what I'll do is I'll go on to Fiverr or somewhere like that and buy a load of upvotes. And this is pretty cool. I've done this a lot of times. You can pay people to upvote on Reddit. And then these people will go on Reddit and upvote that post. And then if the link stays at the top of that subreddit for a long time, you'll get a heap of traffic. And then if you've got sticky content and people are reading that post when they go through from Reddit, then that's giving loads more signals to Google that it's high quality content or whatever. And then, you just, after that, you build a few links, and it's just a magic formula, really, I found, to get.
Okay. And do you use some kind of software for your link building and for your outreach, emailing people that you would recommend, or is this the old-fashioned way?
Yes, I do actually use a special software. It's called BuzzStream. I actually use them a lot and write about them on my blog. You can schedule your emails. You can make sure you don't accidentally reach out to the same person again. Also, you can make really personal sounding emails very quickly with all these kind of drag and drop fields. So I do everything through that software.
Okay. So it makes the process faster, easier to manage. It works for you.
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I like that because, I have actually interviewed several people that don't do anything with social media, and they still have tons of traffic. They make a lot of money. They have a lot of influence. So, and I like to hear that because I think sometimes people think you have to do the same thing what other people do, but there are so many options out there.
No, you're totally right there, George. Yeah. I mean, with social media, if you're an expert on social media, go for it. If that's your thing, if you love hanging around on Facebook all day, then for sure. But yeah, there are definitely other ways of doing it. And sometimes the oldest tricks in the book, like emailing, is the best way. It's behind the scenes. No one knows what you're up to, but the most important thing is traffic, right? And finding the best way to get traffic is definitely more valuable, and then getting those people onto your list.
So if I want to get 1,000 visitors per day to Success Harbor, what do I need to do in the first 24 months? So basically what you mentioned, the transcribing, sticky content, link building using something like BuzzStream, maybe even Reddit, as you mentioned, reach out to people, influencers on Reddit. Anything else, or do you think that's the secret recipe, or not secret, but that's the recipe to get there?
Yeah, I mean, what you could do is obviously you've interviewed a ton of really big names on your site, some really cool people. So yeah, if you get those posts transcribed, maybe you can outsource that to someone, on Odesk or something, to save you the time. And then, just Google that person's name, get every single site that's ever mentioned that person ever in the history of time. Or, well, you don't have to do that, but, get a large amount. And then I go and email those people and ask them to perhaps, add a link to their page where they've talked about that particular person you interviewed. And then, the 100% thing should be to try and rank for some of these experts' names. So if you put all the experts' names into Google, perhaps, and then find out who's getting searched the most and start with them, just keep on going like that. Okay,
yeah, that's great advice, and I like it because it's kind of like old-fashioned networking with the email. It's a little bit different. I think a lot of people don't really want to do that kind of stuff anymore, but I hear. I interviewed so many people, and their networking is really what comes up over and over and over. Reach out to people, get to know people, be useful to other people, and network. And it's so valuable. Today, I interviewed so many people, and it's funny because I looked on New and Noteworthy, and I'm on the top page. I'm the top row, and nice. That's the first time it happened. And I'm up there with Tim Ferriss, who I really like, and a whole bunch of other people that I follow and I followed over the years, and books that I've read, and it has nothing to do with the interview, but I just came to mind, and I'm kind of stoked about it. So
yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
So you had a post on May 14th about building a site in just 90 days to get $9,000 in revenue per month. Yeah. And I read that today you have about 500 visitors, probably more than that since you wrote it. Where you are with that project in terms of revenue, and what is your strategy to grow the traffic to that site?
Okay, that's great. I'd love to talk about this as well. Okay, so I was very naive when I went into the whole project. I was like, we're going to make 9K in 90 days and whatever. And it was a catchy title, but it was, I think, a bit too naive at the beginning. But we've seen some amazing growth in the last month or so. What we've done, so basically first, we just created a huge amount of content. So we launched a site at the end of December.
When you say huge amount, does it mean those really long posts that you talk about, the multi-thousand words, or is it very many posts, separate posts?
Okay, so there's 16 posts in total when we launched the site. It was a bit of a crazy thing to do, but we launched with 16 posts. Some of them were 3K, some of them were 5K, but the most of them were 1.5K long. as average. But then what we did was, after the site launched and we'd shown it was a pretty quality site, we then did a couple of expert roundups, and that was to create our really huge pieces of content, these power pages. And then after the roundups went out, I think that was in February, we then just went on massive link building binge, as it were. And so we've already got the content. We're already pretty nailing most of the important keywords in the niche. So now our main focus is simply to just build the links and get those up Google. What happened? We're now taking in over 750 visits a day, and I think we're going to hit the 1,000 mark in a couple of weeks if we continue at this rate. Because I posted that post in May. We were at, I think, 500 visits. And it's gradually growing. So
give us an idea, how many links, you mentioned that you went into a link building binge. How many links have you built? Let's say you're very close to 1,000. So we just say, to get 1,000 visitors per day. How many links did you have to build? Well,
the answer is I can't use this word because it's a swear word, but it begins with an F and it ends with a K. Okay. And the next word is all. So F all. Honestly, hardly any links whatsoever. What I've done, though, is focused on creating the best possible links I can get. So when I find a page I really want to link on, what I'll do is I'll work out a strategy to just get that one link. And for our main power page, which is 18,000 words long, all I did was actually build about 6 links to that power page, but they were all really hard-earned links.
Okay, so give us an idea, like in that niche or whatever, or if you don't want to talk about that particular niche, you could talk about, business or whatever. How do you identify? Because I think some people think, well, I have to build thousands of links for anything to happen.
Yeah.
So this sounds very doable to me, but give us an idea of how you found those links, what makes it a really good site for you to use,
okay.
And then how do you reach out to those sites?
Okay, well, what I want to do first I want to find a post that's on a very high quality website. So to make sure a website's quality, I'll either use Majestic SEO or Ahrefs, and I'll check the domain, see if it's got some good domain authority with Moz, and then I'll make sure just it's a quality website. Now, with that, I'll then it's very important that the link isn't contextual. It's very contextual. So by that I mean, if you're gonna do a post, for example, on dog training, you want to rank for dog training, then you want to find an article that's very high up on Google where they're writing a lot about dog training in the article. And then if you can get a link on that post, then that's going to be massive for you, right? So what I do first is I wanted to rank for a particular keyword, which, let's say it was training poodles. So I typed in something like training poodles into Google, and then various variations of that. And I found some very authoritative blogs that wrote about that. And then what I did was I work out a strategy of how I can get a link on that particular person's blog. Now, one way I did it, when I find a link I really want, so let me just quickly say what makes a really good link.
Okay.
Basically, the site has to have a very high authority. So it has to be a good site with a trusted site.
So how do you use something like Moz, or how do I know what, or anybody knows what site has high authority?
Okay, so a good one at the moment, I like to use Majestic SEO actually, because they have this thing called TrustFlow, and it shows you how trustworthy the site is. So it means, if it's got a lot of good links from trustworthy sites and it's got a good link neighborhood, then the metrics on Majestic will show you that. So you want to look for sites anything above a 10 TrustFlow of 10, okay. And then anything above that. So, but a really good site would be much higher, so much higher than 10, like 40 or 50 or whatever. So that would be a sign of high TrustFlow. I mean, for Ahrefs as well, a really good site would be like a Ahrefs rank of, say, 80, or anything between 60 and 80 would be really good. So yeah, if you read up on those numbers, you'll work out roughly what it is. They all vary, these different, softwares.
Okay.
But
So
then,
that gives us a good idea. So now we know that, first of all, it has something to do with our niche, and it has good authority. So those are the first things. Then what happens?
yeah, then also if the page is writing a lot about your topic, then that's awesome. If you can get a link on that page, then, it's not, for example, if I was wanting a link for training poodles, then if I got a link on a very high trustworthy site that was, for example, TechCrunch, but the article was all about mobile phones, then yeah, it's a high authority site, but that link wouldn't help much because it's on a page which is totally unrelated, if you know what I mean. So it's also very important to get a contextual link. So within text of someone who's writing about a topic. So I'll tell you how I got one of these links. There was this page I really, really wanted a link on. So what I did was I looked at this person's website and I put them through a tool called Screaming Frog, SEO spider tool. And basically in this tool you can find out which of the pages on this person's site has broken links. So I put their entire site through this tool and I found out any of their pages that had issues. For example, an image missing or a 404 link or whatever. Then what I did was I emailed, I actually included this person in an expert roundup. So I included them in an interview a bit earlier on, a month before. So then they knew me. They knew, like, we're cool. We've already given them a link on this cool page or whatever. And then what I did was I just go back and then I sent them a massive report of all the problems with their site and said what they should do to change them. I mean, this didn't take long. It took about an hour or whatever. And then what I said is, oh, by the way, you've got this awesome page on training poodles. You wouldn't perhaps mind adding our link to the anchor text for poodles? And then they said, yeah, sure, of course. I mean, you've just helped me out with my entire site. Of course, I'll give you a link. So that's the way we earned that one. I mean, but that link, after getting that link, we shifted up Google pretty much an entire page within a very short space of time. And then, yeah, it's just links like that. I also got a link on someone's homepage widget, which is crazy. So they put a link to our site from their homepage and on every page of their blog. I did that by pretending I was a girl and being really flirty. And it took a few emails, but I went in there and said, yeah, hey, this is, Natalie or whatever. And I kind of, warmed up to them. And then, yeah, they put a link on the homepage widget. So it's just different tactics for different kind of links. And yeah, that's the way I do it, really, just emailing people.
Okay, yeah. And be useful, right? Again, be useful, provide value.
Exactly.
Give before you ask for something, right? So, these are so simple ideas, but I don't know why people forget those, It makes sense to me. I have a few more questions. I know we went over 30 minutes. I hope it's okay. I have a few more questions. Can you stay for a few more minutes?
Yeah, no worries.
These are some general entrepreneurial questions that, you've been in business for years, and it's really important for our audience to hear, what your opinion is on these questions. So what is the most important thing for an entrepreneur to do during the first 12 months of being in business, in your opinion?
Okay, in the first 12 months?
Yeah, because, let me tell you why it's important to me, because most businesses fail, and they fail within the first 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So what can they do, in other words, to help them stay in business, because, that's a really, really crucial time.
Oh, yes. Well, for sure. I mean, as long as it takes, don't launch that business until you fully research the market and know your way in. That's the first bit of advice. I mean, before you even think of starting a website or anything, make sure you properly have researched the market and find a special angle you can go in, which is totally different to everyone else. Otherwise, you'll just get lost amongst all the noise. I'd also recommend heavily networking even in the research stage before you launch your business. So drive up a lot of excitement to the people in that industry. So you haven't even launched a blog yet, but they're already getting excited, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you do launch, you're not just going to go off like a lead balloon. So that's one of the first things I do. And then, yeah, I mean, once you do launch, just continue the networking. And yeah, I'm trying to think 12 months, blimey.
So networking and prepare and make connections even before you actually start your business, and the research part, to respect the business so you know exactly what you're getting into.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And definitely initially, I'd recommend if we're talking keywords, go after some much less competitive keywords for your first posts. And then once you've built up a few links to your site and you've got a bit more authority, then chase the more competitive keywords, because it'll be easier for you to rank once you've, got some links to your site, you've got some authority, people are interested, and then you can funnel all of the link juice from your other posts that you've already launched to those new big posts which are targeting harder keywords, and that will give you a much better chance of ranking for those.
Okay.
Than if you started out with them.
So what do you think is the biggest time waster for entrepreneurs?
Oh, the biggest time.
This could be either in your experience, in your own business, or what you see around you from all the people that you know in business.
Yeah, well, I definitely say the biggest time waster is trying to do too many things at once. When you get into blogging, it can be so overwhelming, right? I mean, you read posts on, oh, shit, this guy's telling me I should be doing this. I should be getting on Tumblr and Pinterest. Oh, but this guy is saying I should increase my Twitter followers. This guy's saying, oh, get on YouTube, set up a YouTube account, and blah, 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 right? I mean, the most important thing to do, things like that, for example, dabbling in different things at the beginning. What you need to do is just focus on nailing one social network at a time. Or nailing one particular side of, your strategy at a time, rather than spreading yourself thin. I think too many people try to get popular on all the different social networks. They waste too much time on that when they should just be focusing on building up their traffic or whatever. The biggest waste of time is just letting all the noise get to you and stopping you from pursuing what you originally set out to do. I mean, I'm sure so many times, I'm sure you've experienced it as well, George. You're on a course to do something, and then someone whispers something in your ear saying, oh, no, you've got to be doing this. And then you stop halfway through what you're originally doing, try something else out. And then once you've done that, you're just in a mess, right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Try to stay focused and don't get distracted.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
If you could train someone, let's say you have a friend or somebody in the family that sees your success as an entrepreneur and they have a job now and they want to try it, they want to become an entrepreneur. What would you teach that person? If you could train that person to be a successful entrepreneur, what would be the first thing you would teach them?
I think the first thing, I think the first thing would be to teach them how to maybe. Oh, you'll probably have to cut this, George. I'm trying to think.
No, it's good. I appreciate it when you think about it. That means that there's value.
Yeah, the first thing to teach them.
What do you think is the one thing that, there are people that succeed and there are people that fail. There are people that can build businesses over and over or whatever. And they just have it down. What do you think is the one thing? I'm sure there's more than one, but what is one of those things?
I think one of the first things would be to teach them how to respect their competition. I'm not sure if that sounds right.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Yes.
Respect the competition.
Yeah, respect the competition. Learn from the competition. I mean, okay, so you might think, oh, I'm going to go and do a new bakery site. and I'm just going to beat everyone off. Yeah, my idea is so good, I'm going to kill everyone. But if you don't respect your competition, then if you go full in and you just launch with your idea and expect it to work, and then it doesn't work and it fails, and you end up scratching your head thinking, why the hell did it fail? It's such a good idea. If you didn't actually research the market, see how your competition are doing it, and actually realize that, oh, they were doing it that way because that way works, rather than thinking, oh, my way is going to work, then you're not going to screw up. So yeah, respect your competition. Even if you think they're not doing things right, they obviously are doing some things right, because that's why they're there now. That's why they're successful. So no matter how crap or lame you think a competitor's business is and how much you can beat them, they're doing something right, because they're the ones ranking on Google, right? They're the ones currently making money. So respect your competition. Yeah, I guess that would be the first thing.
Yeah, no, that's good, and I appreciate it when you think about it, and it doesn't come out that easily, because that means you actually have to think about it. So it has good value. So how can people connect with you or learn more about you, Richard?
Okay, well, you can head on over to my blog, which is clamber.com. That basically is the word clamber, as in clamber up, without the E. I could not buy the domain name with the E in, obviously, because it was bloody expensive. And then the second thing you can do is follow me on Twitter. It's also at Clamber, the same name, CLAMBR. Those are basically the two places you can find me. I've also just launched a brand new YouTube channel called Clamber Up, where I'm going to be releasing plenty of high-speed link building video tutorials, which show you exactly how I build links and rank my sites. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
Yeah, that sounds great. And, maybe at some point we can check back about that niche site that you're working on. I don't know, maybe in 6 months or a year, because I'd like to give an update to my audience and maybe some of the things that we learned from you as you go through that process. I mean, everything you told me was really awesome, and I really liked the actual actionable items that you talked about. So I very much appreciate it, and I'm sure our audience as well.
Cheers, George. And yeah, this has been an absolute blast. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, I'd love to update you when this niche site is making loads of money. And hopefully that's going to be soon. Yeah.
Okay, Richard. Yeah, and I'm not just saying it. Really, reach out to me. And let's say when you reach that 9,000 or get close to it, ping me, and we'll either do another one of these or append it or whatever. But I definitely want to give an update, because I think you have some really good ideas, and I want to share it with people.
Cheers, man. That's brilliant. Yeah, no, for sure. I'll put it in my diary right now.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, cheers, George.